In case you weren't here last week, or your memory's just worse than my grandma's, strap in and listen up, cause I'm gonna speedrun the first episode for you. See this guy? He's your MC. Now, see this kid? She's his little sister, Suzu, and he's all she's got after their parents died. After getting bounced from family to family, they're finally with a decent person in their aunt. Bad news though, Nao's here a cis-con, Satsuki's a stalker with no personal boundaries, and a rocky history with him, and Ishihara's just kinda there to be Nao's crush. If you want more than that, you're gonna have to watch the last video, or this one's gonna get way too long. All you need to know for now is that Nao's helping Suzu set up a garden in their backyard, and Satsuki's being a freak, which ends up with the two of them in a pretty sus position. And in true anime fashion, the aunt walks out just in time to see it. As you'd expect, seeing the kid she's helping out getting freaky in her backyard really ticks off Nao's aunt. After a split-second crash out, she slams the door on her way inside, seeming completely furious as she goes. While Nao gets depressed and prepares to be homeless again, Satsuki apologizes for the screw-up and tells him she'll explain the misunderstanding to his aunt. Of course, he knows that's just going to complicate things more, so he tells her not to do that. Instead, he pushes down the anxiety he's feeling now and takes Suzu out for a walk. After all, he's got to prep her to lose another home now, something he's honestly grown tired of. That was the plan at least, but Suzu conks out like a light bulb on his back, and Nao's left alone with Satsuki because of course the no boundaries having stalker would follow them. As the two talk, Satsuki gets mad at Nao for trying to hide the reason for his living situation from her. Luckily the dude's a total bottom. A little push from Satsuki's all it takes to make him spill. Pause? Anywho, Nao explains how their aunt's just the latest of their relatives to get stuck with them. Since Nao and Suzu's parents got married against the wishes of most of their families, none of those relatives are actually close to them, or even care a whole lot. Unlike Nao though, Satsuki's got enough brain cells to see things objectively, and not through the lens of depressed overthinking. She points out that his aunt's more than just the next in line. After all, she's actually being nice to him and Suzu since they've been with her. And she even let them use her backyard for their garden. None of that sounds like someone who'd kick them out over a misunderstanding. With a parting shot about moving in with her if things really do go south, Satsuki leaves Nao to think about things. Sometime later, Suzu wakes up and Nao steals his resolve. He promises never to leave her alone, but if he's going to do that, he has to make sure she can live a good life. With his mind made up, Nao returns to his aunt Tamayo's home, set on apologizing to her and making things right. Unfortunately for him, he's got anime protagonist luck, which means he ends up in the perfect spot for said aunt to walk out of the bath naked and bump into him. Guess their old place must have been in Alabama. Still, Nao's determined to see this through. After Tamayo closes the bathroom door to save her own dignity, Naoto gets on his knees and launches into a speech about how much they like living here with her, all the ways they can help each other, and how she's the only one who treated them like actual people. On the other side of the door, Tamayo's actually kind of moved, especially considering she was never really going to kick them out in the first place. After a short explanation about how he and Satsuki actually aren't together, Nao lets slip that he doesn't feel he can afford to waste time on stuff like that when he's got Suzu to take care of. Tamayo just seems thoughtful when he says that, but keeps quiet about it. She doesn't really keep quiet when he brings up his dad, though, who was Tamayo's brother. The lady seems to really hate that guy. Not sure what's that about. The next morning, the siblings head to school with Satsuki following as usual. At this point, her stalking's just their daily normal, though the three do look like a little family of their own from the outside. Later that day, Suzu and Nao are taking care of the garden when the older boy brings up a test she bombed at school. Of course, with how fully Suzu's got her brother wrapped around her finger, even if she doesn't know it, she walks away from it with a reward instead. More time with her big brother in the form of tutoring, starting to think these two are dangerously codependent. But what do I know? The next day at school, Ishihara offers to have a study hangout for their upcoming exams. Despite feeling he'll just slow her down since she's a lot smarter, Nao tells her he'll think about it as she leaves. Oh, and his friend Tokoi teases him about how he might actually have a shot with his crush after all, or he might be being genuine. Hard to get a read on that guy. Very blank face. Internally, though, Nao can only think about how Suzu would never allow him to be alone with a girl, which is kind of weird to be honest. When it's time to head home, Nao ends up being stuck inside because of the heavy rain, which he just happens to be defenseless against. Luckily, Satsuki offers up her own umbrella, telling him she's got a spare in her locker. And so the suspected siscon heads home, only to find Suzu isn't back yet. Worried about her being out in the rain, Nao looks for her raincoat so he can go take it to her, only to find something else instead. A crumpled up math test hidden in the back of the closet that Suzu scored a full 100 on. Right as Nao's wondering what that's about, Suzu walks in, revealing that she's totally fine. She's just late because a friend at school didn't have an umbrella, so she walked him home before coming back herself. Worryingly enough, this seems to send Nao into a sudden depression, which really doesn't help with these siscon allegations. Is bro jealous right now? Without saying too much more, Nao tells Suzu he's got to head to the convenience store and steps out of the house. As he's walking, Nao starts questioning his entire worldview. Until now, everything he's done has revolved around the idea that Suzu needs him, that he has to do everything to keep her happy, that she's a hopeless little kid who isn't growing up. But is that really true? From everything he's learned today, it looks like she's forcing herself to keep from growing up. Also, he has the chance to keep dotting on her. Right as his mind's about to short circuit, Nao runs into Satsuki. As it turns out, she didn't have a spare umbrella at all. She just wanted to help him out in facing her for lying. Nao realizes something. Suzu's not the one scared of her growing up and things changing. He is. Coming to his senses, Nao throws his raincoat over Satsuki and walks her to her place, which turns out to be a pretty rundown apartment. More concerning, though, is that it's just a 3-minute walk from his place, not exactly how close you want to be to your actual stalker. After pulling Nao into her apartment, since she lives alone, Satsuki decides to give him a wake-up call. Through a quick lecture and some precise words she manages to make, Nao realizes something, that he's been using his dynamic with Suzu as an excuse. An excuse to not have to deal with other people, to not live his own life, to not have to worry about anything but her. But that can't last. Like Satsuki says, he has to do things for himself too. He doesn't necessarily deny it, but he does get mad at Satsuki and storms out. But on his way home, alone with his thoughts, he's forced to accept that Satsuki wasn't wrong. After all, even now he's using Suzu as an excuse not to take the leap with Ishihara. That evening, Nao returns home with snacks for Suzu and decides to have a talk with her. Right on the front porch, he smiles at his sister and tells her he'd like to study with a friend this weekend. Of course, Suzu's quick to point out that he's already promised to tutor her that day, but Nao's ready for that. He mentions how they can always fit that in before and after he goes out, or even just to do it another day. After all, if her math test's any sign, she's pretty smart when she actually tries. Not wanting to lose her time with her brother, Suzu starts crying about how that's not true and she can't do anything without him there. Unfortunately for both siblings, that's where the conversation ends, because Nao made the grave mistake of being out in the rain in an anime, which means he's now instantly sick, because plot. And so Nao finds himself in forced bed rest the next morning, with Suzu refusing to leave his side, or his front in this case. Luckily, Nao is able to convince her to at least go to school. That buys him a few hours of peace and quiet, but it doesn't last, because next he's woken by Satsuki being pressed up to him in his own futon, completely ignoring every boundary in the book. Turns out she feels bad since he technically got sick because of her. As an apology, she's brought him some medicine, and the fact that it's anal suppositories is definitely not a sign that she wants to peg him. No, sir, not at all. After a few minutes of being very thoroughly embarrassed by Satsuki and her double-meaning sentences, Nao's literally saved by the bell and goes to answer it. Good news, Ishihara's here to check on him after hearing he's sick. Bad news, Ishihara's here while Satsuki's literally in his bed. More good news, his crush is asking to cook some healthy food for him in his own kitchen, giving him time to go to his room and get Satsuki the hell out of there. Bad news, Satsuki's raunchy as hell and ends up teasing him for so long that Ishihara comes up with the food before she leaves. The result? Her hiding under Nao's blanket while he prays to God that Ishihara doesn't realize what's happening. There's no way this ends well.